Good morning, students. In today's session, we are going to see the definition for magnetic flux density, derivation for scalar magnetic potential, and vector magnetic potential. First, magnetic flux. So, magnetic flux is defined as the number of magnetic field lines passing through a given closed surface. It provides a measurement for total magnetic field that passes through the given surface. Magnetic flux is represented by the symbol called phi. Magnetic flux density is represented by the symbol called B. B is nothing but what is the amount of flux lines passing through the surface area. It is known as magnetic flux density by definition. Magnetic flux is nothing but what is the number of magnetic field lines passing through the given closed surface. We know that H is equal to Ni divided by L. Like proportional to the current, we are going to have the magnetic field intensity. So proportional to the current only, your flux will also get exerted. Therefore, magnetic flux is the number of magnetic field lines. This is going to be the number of field lines passing through the closed surface. Here, the area under consideration can be of any size and under any orientation with respect to the direction of your magnetic field. Magnetic flux density is represented with a letter called B, and it is defined as the force acting per unit length. So magnetic flux density B is equal to phi divided by A, or we can write it as B is equal to mu into H. It is in terms of magnetic field intensity, and this is in terms of your magnetic flux. So the unit for B is going to be Tesla, and B is your vector quantity. It is not a scalar quantity. It is going to have both direction as well as the magnitude. Therefore, B can be written as B is equal to phi divided by area. The unit for magnetic flux density is going to be Tesla, or we can have Weber per meter square as its unit. The other formula to represent magnetic flux density in terms of magnetic field intensity is B is equal to mu into H. Now we will go for a scalar and vector magnetic potential. The solution of your electrostatic problem is greatly simplified by means of your electrostatic potential. So here we have solved in electrostatics, we have solved the relationship between your electric field strength and electric scalar potential, where the electric field strength is equal to the negative gradient of your electric scalar potential. And in physical significance, so the scalar magnetic potential, by significant, you can write it as in the place of electric field intensity, you can write magnetic field intensity, which is equal to negative gradient of your magnetic scalar potential, where Vm represents the magnetic scalar potential. This is the equation. Just by analogy, we have written it from the relationship E is equal to minus gradient of V. Although it possesses a very significant, real physical significance for us, it is mathematically no more than a stepping stone which allows us to solve a problem by several small steps. Therefore, for a given charge configuration, we may find first the potential and then from there the electric field intensity. So, by analogy, as we know that H is equal to a negative gradient of your Vm, where Vm is nothing but your magnetic scalar potential. The selection of negative gradient provides a closer analogy to your electric potential and to the problems which we have already solved. So this definition should not conflict with the previous result. It should not conflict with your previously already proven result. By analogy, you people can derive the equation from electrostatics to magnetostatics. But already whatever laws it has been proved, it should not affect that. So when you are framing a equation by analogy, you have to satisfy that it is not going to deviate from any of the previous result that is obtained for the magnetic field. We know that by analogy we have written H is equal to negative gradient of your magnetic scalar potential Vm. This should not affect the already proven law. So the already proven law is going to be the curl theorem and Stokes theorem. Curl theorem, curl H is equal to J, which is equal to curl of, in the place of H you can write it as negative gradient of your magnetic potential. We know that curl of divergence of any vector will be equal to 0, or divergence of curl of any vector is equal to 0. It is your vector rule. So based on that, here the curl of divergence of any vector density is equal to 0. Hence we are getting H is equal to negative gradient of Vm, and here when you curl of divergence of Vm is equal to 0, because many magnetic problems involve geometrics in which the current carrying conductors occupy relatively small fraction of the total region of interest. That is the evidence that the scalar magnetic potential can be useful. Therefore, the scalar magnetic potential is also applicable in case of permanent magnet. The dimension is going to be obviously ampere. So the scalar potential can be written as, we can write it as divergence dot B is equal to mu divergence dot H. So here I can write it as curl H is equal to J. By analogy, I am going to use this H as curl of minus negative gradient of your magnetic scalar potential, which is equal to J. Curl of divergence of any vector is equal to 0. So J will be equal to 0. If you write it in terms of your magnetic flux density, you will be getting divergence dot B is equal to 0. And this one, if you are writing in terms, in the place of H, if you are writing it as negative scalar potential, magnetic potential, you will be getting divergence square Vm is equal to 0, which is already proven that it is not affecting the already proven laws. Now scalar magnetic definition: electric field intensity is equal to the negative gradient of your electric scalar potential, which we can write it as E is equal to negative gradient of V, that is electric scalar potential. By analogy, we can write H is equal to minus grade Vm, where Vm is going to be your magnetic scalar potential. Now the above equation should not contradict with the already proven laws. Therefore, we can write curl H is equal to J. In the place of H, we can write negative gradient of your Vm. The curl of divergence of any vector, or the divergence of curl of any vector, is equal to 0. Therefore, in this particular path, we will be getting 0. That is shown over here. When you look at this equation, you can see here divergence dot B is equal to 0. It is your first law. In the place of B, you can write it as mu into H. H is nothing but negative gradient of your magnetic scalar potential. When you prove this, you are getting Laplacian operator of Vm is equal to 0. Here it is nothing but your Laplace equation in magnetostatics. Laplace equation in electrostatics is Laplacian operator of V will be equal to 0. Laplacian operator of V is equal to 0 in case of electrostatics. Poisson's equation is going to be Laplacian operator of V is equal to minus rho V divided by epsilon. So these two equations holds good in case of your electrostatics. When you compare this equation with the obtained equation, so this is resembling more or less equal, just V is replaced with Vm. Hence this equation is called as your Laplace equation in magnetostatics. Then vector magnetic potential. Now point form of Gaussian law in magnetostatics. What is point form of Gaussian law in magnetostatics? Divergence dot B is equal to 0. Here when you apply the vector rule, the divergence of curl of any vector is going to be 0. So B should be curl of any vector. Therefore I can write the B by assumption as divergence already present. If B is going to be the curl, then this particular equation is hold good. So divergence of curl of A is equal to 0. Now we can apply the vector identity. We can compare the equations and we can apply the vector identity. Curl H is equal to J. This is your curl theorem. And H is equal to B is equal to, we know that B is equal to mu into H. From this H is equal to B divided by mu. Substituting in this equation, we get curl of B by mu is equal to J. 1 by mu constant, take it outside. Curl of B. B is nothing but curl A from the previous equation. Now curl of curl A. We need to apply the vector identity. When you apply the vector identity, we'll get the equation curl of curl A is equal to Laplacian operator square. Here when you substitute one over the other, you will get 1 divided by mu minus Laplacian operator of A is equal to J. Take mu towards that side, you will get Laplacian operator of A is equal to J divided by 1 by mu. This looks like a Poisson's equation in magnetostatics. So compare this particular equation with the Poisson's equation in electrostatics. Laplacian operator of V is equal to minus rho V divided by epsilon. Here just compare these two equations. In this, A is analogy to V, J is analogy to rho V, and epsilon is an analogy to 1 divided by mu. Replacing everything one over the other will get the equation as A is related to V, J is related to rho V, epsilon. So when you substitute it over here, V is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon into R. It is the general form of your potential. Now replacing all the electrical terms in terms of your magnetic field terms, V is replaced as here charge Q is going to be the volume charge density. So we can write it as rho V is equal to Q divided by V, which is equal to, if you assume a differential volume element, the charge distribution is going to be differential. Therefore we can write rho V is equal to dQ by dV. From this, Q is equal to integral over the volume of space rho V into dV. Now substitute the value of Q in the original equation. After substituting, you will be getting this equation. Just replace all the electrical terms in terms of all the electrostatic terms in terms of magnetostatic terms. Wherever we have V, there you should replace it with A. Wherever we have rho V, replace it with J. Wherever we have epsilon, replace it with 1 divided by mu. If you replace it, you will get the value of A as integral over the volume of surface, volume of space, J dot dV divided by 4 pi 1 divided by mu into R. We know that current density J is equal to I divided by S. If you assume a differential surface area, then the current density is going to be differential, which we can write it as J is equal to Di divided by ds. And substituting the value of J over here, we will get the value of your current vector magnetic potential. A is equal to I into dl divided by 4 pi 1 divided by mu into R. The unit for vector magnetic potential is going to be Weber per meter. So with this, we are completing module 3. All type of problems we have solved, derivations, applications, application with respect to Boyd-Sievert's law, Ampere's circuital law, curl theorem, Stokes theorem, and application with respect to Poisson's equation, Laplace equation. So all type of problems we have solved. You people can refer to the previous lecture video for any doubts and clarifications. Thank you, students.